What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I am your host, Chris Raybon. It's NFL Week 4. We got some touchdowns for you on this show. I'm joined by one of the most accurate rankers in the game, Koerner. We got touchdown betting guru Gilles Gallant on the show. Hit a few of these last week. Jackson Hawes, Jordan Mason, Calvin Austin, Garrett Wilson, Omarion Hampton, Dunze Scatterbo. So, Koerner, I'll start with you. How you feeling? Nice call. I believe that was you on the Mason 2 touchdown last week.
Yeah, that was a good hit, but the best hit of the week was your Jackson Hawes pick. Yeah. I don't think anybody heard it. It wasn't out in time, but hopefully we get these Thursday night bangers out so everyone can hit this along with us. But great call on Hawes last week.
Oh, no, I'm going 0 for the rest of the year. Like the fact that it did, I don't think it got out either. But, you know, it is what it is. Jill, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. And honestly, like with Hawes or even like Ryan Miller, like that you had the week before, you're injury vulture right now, man, where you're able to just completely target the guys who are going to get these opportunities based on the inactives. And it's just been a delight to see.
All right. I mean, we'll try to keep it going. We got the whole slate. We'll start with the Thursday night game again, and we'll hopefully this is out and people are hearing it by the time the Thursday night game drops, and then we'll go game by game. Rest of the weekend, we got 3 primetime games this weekend too. Remember, we have the Sunday night and 2 Monday games. So I'll get into all of that. Yeah, so we got some. We'll have some parlays for those Sunday and Monday night games. And before we get out and track them in the Parlay Express account, in the Action apps. Also, if you want to tail some of these bets, all you got to do is look for the quick slip link in the podcast and video description, or go to actionnetwork.com/betnow. Thursday night football, Seahawks at Cardinals. The total is pretty low, around 43 and a half. So not looking like too much of an exciting game. I'll start us off. I guess because I'm in the outline first, maybe because of that Hawes pick that nobody heard, but I'm going to go with Torrey Horton, another rookie in this one. He's 4-1. He already has touchdowns in back-to-back games, Joe. I think I kind of said it in jest maybe 2 episodes ago that Horton was a guy to bet on, but he's been coming through, and I like him because he's getting snaps in the red zone, and he's played just as many pass game snaps as Cooper Kupp in the last game. Now, it was a blowout against the Saints, but he was in there as the starter right along with Kupp. So, there's a chance eventually Horton is the guy who overtakes Kupp in 2 wide sets. But either way, in this spot against Arizona, they play a lot of, coverage in the red zone. So I think a guy like Horton who could beat coverage is important because JSN is always going to be, that top target. And if you make them check it down, there's no guarantee that they get in. So I want a guy like Horton that's probably still going to get a one-on-one, young enough in his rookie season. So I'll go with him at 4-1. Sean, what you got?
I'm going to go with Greg Dortch here at 6-1. I think he's going to see the biggest jump in terms of playing time with Zay Jones out here with the concussion. Because Dortch has only run her out on 22% of dropbacks this year. I have him, closer to 55% tonight. He scored multiple touchdowns in 3 straight seasons. So, he's not immune to the end zone. And he's, a guy with multiple different paths to score. He can get in as a receiver. He's really good after the catch. Sometimes they scheme up rush attempts for him. I think that could be the case tonight, with James Conner out for the season. This is a really good run defense in Seattle. So they might scheme up a rush attempt or 2 for him tonight. But he's also their kick and punt returner. And, with this season, we're having, twice as many kick returns. That just boosts someone like him, his chances of scoring even more. So I like Dortch here at 6-1.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that with Horton. He's the Seahawks punt returner too. So we got both of the returners in this game. So I guess, Joe, your pick is kind of hoping that these returners don't score. Who you going with?
Well, I was wondering if I should just now pair a defensive special teams touchdown now with these just to round it out and correlate.
Spicy.
Well, I'm going to go with the guy who has the biggest edge right now in our Action Pro projections for anytime touchdown odds, and that's Kyler Murray. We're really threading the needle, too, with 3 touchdown props on a total of 43, I think, right now for this game. So I love the odds, though, for Kyler because, and again, this is now the 3rd week I think I've taken Kyler on this podcast. Part of the reason why is just, again, the carries are there, like 20 carries over 3 games. He's not just being passive in the pocket. One thing that I liked against the Niners last week, and I thought that we were going to see this, is that he was getting some carries inside the 10-yard line. He had 2 last week against the 49ers. And just been scrambling a lot too. He's fourth amongst all quarterbacks in total scrambles, second in yards per scramble. And like a lot of quarterbacks, but especially for Kyler, he will see a big jump in scramble rate when he sees pressure. And the Seahawks, I mean, through 3 games, fourth in pressure rate per dropback. So James Conner is out. Trey Benson, even though he is the red hot name in fantasy, I imagine, again, a little unproven. I think Kyler, this is a week that he could get his touchdown, and I love his odds over plus 300 right now.
Yeah, Seahawks not only high in pressure rate, but I believe they're one of the top teams pressure rate in the red zone. I believe I saw the number is about 50%, like half of the opponent's dropbacks in the red zone. So that's a good sign for Kyler, because I think it was last year they were, or when he came back from the injury, they were doing the they would put the backup quarterback in for the sneaks, but I don't think they're going to do that anymore this year. So, and Benson has got stuffed a lot in his career at the goal line. So yeah, I like Kyler as well. Parlay those 3 picks together: Torrey Horton, anytime touchdown; Greg Dortch, anytime touchdown; and Kyler. And you get 120 to 1 on DraftKings. So this will be tracked in the Parlay Express account in the Action Network app. So be sure to follow that Parlay Express Action Network app for this parlay and more. And we'll start with the Sunday slate. We'll start it off early. Yeah, we got an early game too. I should have mentioned that. In Dublin, Ireland, we got the Vikings against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Vikings, I like Justin Jefferson to score here at plus 160. The Steelers, they are a defense that, they do have some good corners, but there's just been a lot of miscommunications and things for them in the red zone. And they actually are willing to blitz down in there. Jefferson's been the first read on most of those type of plays. They will play man coverage down in close. And I expect the Vikings to be able to move the ball in this spot. And then on the other side, going with Jonnu Smith at plus 375. He's the guy who, out of the 2 tight ends, Freiermuth and Smith, they seem to be splitting snaps, but I think you'll see Jonnu get ahead of Freiermuth more often than not. We saw that last game when Pittsburgh's in certain game scripts where they have to throw more, which I think will be in this spot. I think Jonnu is going to be the guy because he's a slot receiver. We've seen him in the red zone getting snaps there too. So like Jonnu Smith at plus 375. I think he should be closer to about 3 to 1 here. So let's go into the Sunday afternoon slate, and we got the Jackson Dart era set to begin in New York. We have the Chargers going across the country to MetLife to face the Giants. Koerner, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, so for the Chargers side, I'm going to go chalky here with Marion Hampton at minus 120. I mean, he should see an increase in usage now with Najee Harris out for the season. And he's already been operating as their clear goal line back. He's seen all 4 rush attempts inside the 5. He's only scored once on those. So he probably should have one more touchdown based on that usage. And this is a great spot for him on the ground anyway. The Giants ranked dead last in DVOA against the run. They've allowed 4 different running backs to score a touchdown so far this season. So this looks like a great spot for Hampton. Hell, even go with the 2 touchdown bet with him too. I don't even know what the odds are, but it's probably worth it. And then I got to go with my guy here, Jackson Dart, getting his first start. I can't have the Giants game and not go with them to score here, because I think the best way to invest in Dart in his opening start is through his rushing upside. He reminds me a ton of Josh Allen, where, he's literally seeking out contact sometimes, maybe to a fault. His injury risk is probably a bit higher until he learns how to slide and not take so many hits. But, he's looking to run. And I think just the fact that it is his first start, he's probably going to lean on his legs a little bit more until he does get more comfortable inside the pocket. So I think, plus 350, this is probably one of the best ways to invest in him early on. We might not see, his anytime touchdown price this high if his rushing upside is as good as I think it will be. So I'm going to go Dart here at plus 350.
I'm seeing Hampton right now, Koerner, at 5 to 1 for 2 touchdowns in that game.
Boom, take it. Love it.
All right, we'll see if you got the 2 touchdown bets in this one. Carolina at New England. I mean, New England should have had like 5 touchdowns in their last game. I don't know how they came away with just 14 points. Who do you like for Panthers Patriots?
Feels like it's the Steelers luck box game too, like where they're just creating turnovers out of nowhere all the time. Now we get to play the Panthers from a Patriots standpoint. All right, so I'm going to start on the Panthers side. I'm going to actually cop Raybon. These are two picks that you have given out in the first 3 weeks. And I think these guys, the odds are still kind of consistent to where they are, but better matchups. So I'm going to take David Moore at plus 900 on the Panthers side because Xavier Legette, he missed last week. The other thing when I'm reading about Legette's injury is that he might be back this week. I still think he's not going to play like that full share of snaps. So I think David Moore's snaps are going to increase because in week 3, now he didn't really have to do much against the Falcons, but he played 97% of snaps in that game. So then you're playing against this New England pass defense, which has just been awful through 3 weeks. 4 or 5 touchdowns allowed to outside wide receivers. Checking on David Moore's snap count, he's playing 80% of snaps on the outside through 3 games. Plus the other thing too, Christian Gonzalez, I believe, is supposed to be back for this game. So if he is back, he's probably going to shadow Ted McMillan a lot. And if that's the case, then I don't want anything to do with that side of the field. So I'm going to take the other wide receiver on the outside. That would be David Moore. He's around plus 900 right now. Now on the Patriots side, Austin Hooper, he's around plus 650. And I think what's going to happen here is after that 2-touchdown game from Hunter Henry last week, there's just going to be a lot more love for Hunter this week. Whereas I feel like Austin Hooper is getting a little bit forgotten because Raybon, you kind of laid this out last week. He's playing over 60% of snaps. And this Panthers team, a lot of zone, a lot of cover 3, third highest rate of cover 3 in the NFL. And their bottom 3 in targets, catches, and touchdowns to tight ends this year. Just only 1 touchdown, though, allowed, whereas last year they allowed the most touchdowns to tight ends. So I feel like it's a little bit of carryover right now from what we're seeing on this defense. And then, of course, Hooper's route rate, it nearly triples when he's facing zone coverage, and he's done well versus cover 3. So 3 touchdowns last year, still sitting around plus 650. I think that's the way you want to go if you're going to be taking the Patriots, because I don't think you could depend on somebody like Ramondre Stevenson or just any of the wideouts like Kayshon Boutte or Demario Douglas, if he's even allowed on the field anymore. There's just so much bad blood on this team with some of these guys that it's like I don't want to trust them right now in this spot. Whereas I feel like Austin Hooper is still decent odds around plus 650.
Yeah, and some of the receivers have struggled. It's looked like they've gone more to those 2 tight end packages for New England. Next up, we got the Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eagles tend to struggle in this spot, but I'll start with the Bucs. I'm going to go with Bucky Irving at plus 120 here. Nothing fancy. I just look at the Eagles injury report, and we already know Nakobe Dean started the year on the PUP. Nolan Smith, his tricep, he hurt his triceps. He'll be out. Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell both on the injury report listed as questionable for this week. So I think the linebacker spot is a spot where the Bucs will want to exploit, whether that's in the run game or whether that's with Irving, going out in the route. I think they're going to need him a lot in this spot, and that's how they're going to attack it. And on the other side, A.J. Brown at plus 190. We know he was kind of the squeaky wheel a little bit, ended up getting his first touchdown in week number 3. And in this spot, the Bucs are just so good against the run, with Vita Vea in the middle. And that also could extend to the tush push. It might be a little harder against the Bucs than most teams. So I think the next, option there for the Eagles is going to be A.J. Brown, because it'd be hard for Barkley. It'll be hard for Hurts. A.J. Brown's kind of big physical guy. And we've seen that against the Bucs. Lazard scored on them. Nico Collins scored on them. Drake London should have had probably 2 touchdowns. Yeah. One, I think, got dropped and one got overturned, and then he got injured. And then there was another one right to his same spot with the backup in that. I think it was Hodge wasn't even looking for the ball. So the Bucs numbers against receivers could look a lot worse. They also gave up one to Garrett Wilson, the number 1 receiver on the Jets last week as well. So number 1 receivers and kind of bigger physical guys. Sometimes they're one and the same, but that describes A.J. Brown to a T. So plus 190 going with him in Eagles Bucs. Next up, we got the Commanders going to Atlanta. Atlanta off the scoring no points in the prior game against Carolina. Koerner, how you handling this one?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Chris Moore at 11-1 on the Commanders side, and they're a shit show trying to project right now. Moore might be the only healthy skill player they have at the moment, right? Because Noah Brown still hasn't returned to practice with his groin injury. He was out last week. That's why Moore stepped up and saw a 65% dropback rate last week. Terry McLaurin's banged up, has yet to practice with a quad injury, although he's the type of player where he probably doesn't need to practice He could play if he's ready to go that day. But I consider Brown closer to the doubtful side. And then Debo, I don't know what's going on with him. He saw his snaps limited again last week. He didn't even play in the first drive 2 weeks ago. We still don't know why that happened. No more Austin Eckler. Bill is questionable. And more, he's a downfield type of threat. His ADOT was, closer to 17 yards downfield so far. So, all he needs is one big play, and he could potentially score a touchdown. So if, Jaden Daniels is also questionable, Jesus. Yeah, if Jaden Daniels plays, both Brown and Terry are out. I mean, Chris Moore at 11-1, locking that in is going to look like a steal. So I like getting him this early in the week with all this uncertainty. I think either way, Noah Brown's probably going to miss, and he's probably still worth it. But there's even more upside to lock this in earlier in the week. And then, on the Falcons side, I'm going to have to go with Kyle Pitts here at plus 340. He's finally seeing the playing time that we've been hoping for 4 or 5 seasons now. He's now seen a 96% routes run rate in back-to-back games. So, he's just going to have massive usage or massive upside with that kind of usage. But sure enough, the offense collapsed last week. They failed to score. So, if you think they're going to bounce back this week, I think Pitts is probably the best bet here at plus 340.
Yeah, I do think the Falcons bounce back here. And the Commanders, they also, their number 2 tight end is out. John Bates, It looks like he's going to miss. So that just makes it more likely that, they are in, 1-1 personnel or something like that. And it is a receiver that gets into the end zone. Next up, we got the Browns at the Detroit Lions. Browns play an excellent defense right now, but Detroit doesn't really care about that. They just put up a ton of points on the Baltimore Ravens, put up 50-plus on the Bears the week before that, Jill. Who are you looking at for Lions-Browns?
Yeah, this one is fun because it's essentially the man coverage bowl. Like both of those teams just play a shit ton of man coverage, a lot of cover one. So if that's the case, I'm going to take JMO. I'm taking Jamison Williams. He's around plus 220. And again, you brought up the defense. Like I don't want any part of Gibbs or Montgomery in this matchup. It's not because I don't think they can score. They're both priced right now. Like they scored twice last week and they're facing against a Browns defense that just is not allowing anything on the ground. And I think with JMO too, the other thing is that he looked great in the first quarter when they were moving the ball, but then they didn't really the Lions kind of went with a more of a run-heavy approach in the second half and just completely dominated the line of scrimmage. So they weren't really throwing as much. They were more waiting to throw it on third down. I think they're going to have to throw a little bit more here because of the Browns and their defense, who do play man coverage at a top 5 rate. They're also 24th in defensive DVOA versus the deep ball and a lot of cover one. So that kind of checks all the boxes for JMO. So I think as long as Jared Goff just doesn't spam Amon-Ra St. Brown over and over again, I think we're going to see a JMO long bomb touchdown. So that's on the Lions side. On the Brown side, keeping it simple, I'm just going with Cedric Tillman, just because more of an odds play than anything, because I was almost looking at Jerry Jeudy in this spot, but he's around plus 240, Cedric Tillman around plus 330. And Tillman, even though one of those touchdowns was kind of fluky, he still does have 2 touchdowns in 3 games, playing nearly the same amount of snaps, routes as Jeudy. So for me, I just don't think that there should be that much of a divide between the two, given that they're playing nearly the same amount and playing the same amount and have been as effective as the same amount as a certain type of defense. And then also big road underdogs, there's a potential for a trailing game script. So I imagine Joe Flacco is going to sling it down the field very often. So Cedric Tillman is my favorite Brown in that game.
Oh, yeah, maybe we can get the parlay going with it'll be Tillman, Keon Coleman, and Tongas. I think those are the 3 guys that have caught tip ball touchdowns this year, intended for somebody else. Next up, we got the Titans at the Texans. Titans, I'm going with Shimray DK at 7-1. I think Koerner was on this last week. Should have got in the end zone.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about DK is that he's a kick returner, so he gets opportunities that way. But most of the time, the top opportunity getter, just in terms of touches in the red zone, is going to be a running back, because he could get carries, usually 50-50 or more. The team's running there, and then he'll get targets as well. For the Titans, DK is tied with Tony Pollard for the lead with 6. He's got 5 red zone targets and a carry that was initially ruled a touchdown and then got overturned. So they are trying to get this guy in the end zone. So many more targets than anyone else. And if they're if Houston's dealing with a lot of injuries now in the secondary, and I don't know, Stingley doesn't look right. They just released Gardner Johnson, so their secondary could be a little bit in flux. So I think this could be a time when DK could exploit that. And on the Titans side, on the Texans side, I got to go with Nico Collins because we hear Snead chirping. So you know that the Texans, if they even sniff the end zone, are going to try to get Collins in there. But Collins has really been their most consistent guy. It's not really working out with any of these ancillary options. Thought about Woody Marks, but he's starting to get priced up. People are starting to take note of him. His snap count going up. Whereas when you look at the Titans defensively, like they've been exploitable, I think, by wide receivers. Sutton got one on him in week 1. Devontae Adams got one on him in week 2, and then Pittman. So you had all the kind of number one or X receiver types go and score on Tennessee through 3 weeks. I think Nico Collins continues the trend. So going with him at plus 120. Rams hosting the undefeated Colts. The should-be undefeated Rams are hosting the undefeated Colts. Koerner, who do you like in this one?
I'm going to have to go with my guy, AD Mitchell, here at plus 480. Alec Pierce remains in the concussion protocol. I think he's going to miss this week, and whenever Alec Pierce misses, I want all the AD Mitchell touchdown stock I can get because he's usually the one-for-one replacement for Pierce. Really, deep threat, big play type of receiver. So he fits that role perfectly. The undefeated Colts have yet to really have a trailing game script yet. So this is a game where they could be trailing. Indiana Jones might need to be a little more aggressive and push downfield to AD Mitchell. Hopefully AD Mitchell knows when he's throwing the ball to him. Sometimes he runs the wrong route or something like that. He's kind of a project, but loaded with talent. So anytime I can kind of invest in his upside, like this spot where he's going to see a lot more playing time, I like doing that. And then on the other side, I'm going to go back to the well for Gilles here with Devontae Adams. 2 touchdowns at plus 750. He's been great in his first few games with the Rams. He scored in back-to-back games now. Last week, he could have easily had 2 touchdowns, maybe 3, right? There was like a couple that he nearly scored on. So, he almost had a massive game. So I think investing in this market, with the 2 touchdowns is probably the best way to go with him right now. And that I thought that he would elevate, the Rams offense and Stafford specifically in the red zone. That's why I took Stafford over 22.5 passing touchdowns, I think, on the season. That was before the back injury came out. So hopefully Stafford could stay healthy, but clearly he's making a difference for this offense and Stafford. And we have to remember that, Stafford missed most of training camp with the back injury. So he and Devontae, they've been kind of out of sync in the first couple weeks. So the more chemistry they get, the more, lethal this duo is going to be. So love going back to the well here with Devontae 2+ scores at plus 750.
Yeah, Stafford even said that he's got to get used to how quickly Adams gets open and kind of throw the ball quicker. And they did hook up on a longer touchdown that Adams was just wide open, beat his man right off the snap. All right, Saints at the Bills, biggest spread of the week, around 15.5. Joe, what are you looking at in Saints Bills?
Yeah, with the Saints, I'm going to keep it simple because Spencer Rattler bothers me as a quarterback. I don't really enjoy watching him play, but he does spam Chris Olave a lot with targets, and I think that's really where we have to go. He's around plus 270. He leads the NFL in total targets. He's got 4 end zone targets so far. And when you look at who the Bills have given up touchdowns to, 4 or 5 receiving touchdowns allowed by the Bills are 2 outside wide receivers. So, and I also think the one thing that I like about Olave, barring he takes like a huge crushing hit over the middle, is that I do think he's a little bit game script proof for this, because I think the Saints, maybe they get a little bit of momentum early. He might score. They might feel like they have to be aggressive because they're huge road underdogs, or they trail by like 15, 20 points at halftime and are throwing the entire second half. So unless you want to take like Rashid Shaheed to catch a bomb over the top, which again, I would not be mad about, I'm just going to go a guy who has literally like a 35% target share right now in this offense. So, and then on the Bills side, Koerner, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is straight out of your playbook. I'm taking Ray Davis here because there is a couple of ways you could play Bills touchdown scores. If you think it's going to be a close game, maybe you want to play Dalton Kincaid, just given how he has played against that type of defensive front. But I think this is going to be one of those blowout style of games. And if it is, then that's when we want Ray Davis, right? Because you laid out the case last week against the Dolphins. Like, his volume tends to just see a huge uptick when they're leading by 8 or more points. And that's similar to kind of what we saw in week 2 when they were blowing out the Jets. He had 9 carries in week 2 as opposed to just 1 or 2 in week 1 and week 3. So I think Ray Davis is the guy that we want at plus 375. And let's bank on a Bills blowout, maybe even take Ray Davis last touchdown.
Ray Davis, man, where has he been? Like, I feel like he, like, somehow he doesn't get on the field as much as he should.
Well,
like, he's always
he got
like buried.
He kind of got benched by Ty Johnson last week. So Gilles, you could have just said it's the Koerner 1 week early phenomenon. Ray Davis.
I hit on one of those with the Russell Wilson.
Come on, like it's definitely happening this week. Ray Davis back into his normal role that he's had for 19 straight games. 8 carries for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns, like in garbage time. But yeah, last week 0 touches when I had his over. But who knows why that happened? But yeah, usually these are the spots to back him.
Yeah, I think he's a true number 3 running back now, so he does need like the Keaton Mitchell or Rasheen Ali, game script to roll out now. All right, we are on to Jacksonville at San Francisco. This is an interesting game. The Jaguars, defense has been better. Offense has been missing a lot of opportunities. And San Francisco, just quarterback situation has been odd. So everyone's hurt. Who are you going with in this one, Koerner?
Yeah, for the Niners, I got to go with McCaffrey here to score 2 or more touchdowns at plus 320. Just because their wide receiver and tight end room is a mess right now. And now Ricky Pearsall's dealing with an knee injury. He returned to practice, but nobody could say healthy, but McCaffrey is healthy. And when he's fully healthy, he loves to rack up touchdowns. It could be, rushing or receiving. Again, with all these pass catchers missing time, he's just even more involved as a pass catcher. So I like him here. This is by far the biggest edge in our prop tool. McCaffrey to score 2 or more touchdowns at plus 320. And the Jaguars side is a little bit trickier right now, but I'm going to go with Parker Washington at plus 350 because, Dammy Brown returned to practice today, but he's, still dealing with shoulder injury. He might not suit up again this week. If he's out, Washington would step up as the clear number 3 receiver. But in reality, he's been their best receiver the past 2 weeks, which is crazy. But just with Brian Thomas Jr. struggling with whatever's going on, wrist injury, head, mental injury with drops, and Travis Hunter just playing a ton on defense. He's not really having as big of a role in offense as we thought. So Parker Washington's led the team in receiving the past 2 weeks, even in a limited role. So he might have earned more snaps and targets as a result. So I like buying in on him here at plus 350.
Yeah, Parker Washington. I think 2 weeks ago he came in late and was targeted 6 times on 10 routes or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely
the Tanner Hudson role, right?
Yeah. Until this year where he's just invisible and scratched. But yes, absolutely. Baltimore at KC. KC trying to come back from the dead here, but Baltimore kind of just as dead. Both of these teams at 1-2. So this is the 1-2 bowl, Jill. Where are you going?
Well, before I say that, I just wanted to also mention about Parker Washington. A fun fact about him: he is actually the most profitable Jaguars anytime touchdown scorer in each of the last 2 seasons. So it's just funny with him of how he gets involved, and so I really love that pick. But yes, let's talk about Chiefs Ravens. I'm going to keep it real simple. We're going to go with Mark Andrews. Especially if he's over plus 200, he's plus 235 from what I see. Rebounded huge in week 3, 2 touchdowns, led the Ravens with 3 end zone targets. And the Chiefs this year, one thing that's been a little bit different about this Spags defense, and maybe they're just adjusting week to week, is they've been playing way more cover 2 and 2 high safety this year compared to last year where they were playing way more man coverage. And we've seen now in 2 games, they have just completely removed wide receivers out of the equation. You couldn't see anything from the Eagles standpoint, and the Giants, they couldn't get anything going as well on the passing side either. And then I think also this is going to be the Chiefs' first, what I would call real test against a top quality tight end. You look who they played, not to knock on Will Dissly, we're a friend of the show, but Will Dissly's not exactly on Mark Andrews level. Grant Calcaterra, Theo Johnson, those guys are not on that Andrews level of end zone targets. So also I think if the Ravens run game struggles, because that is what the Chiefs have been really effective at the last 2 weeks. I just like Lamar Jackson to be a little bit more of a passer in this one, and that should help Mark Andrews, who's been just an end zone beast in his career as a Raven. Now, on the Chiefs side, this is probably the most frustrating team for me to bet on for anytime touchdown scores, because they still get priced like it's 2021, like they're, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, peak offense kind of thing. And it's just not the case. Like, they're not moving the ball and scoring at that same pace. So I think you got to go with that one constant in the offense, and that's just got to be Kareem Hunt. He scored week 3 versus the Giants. He clearly has the trust of the Chiefs offensive staff to make those plays inside the 10, because he's gotten all the carries inside the 10-yard line and 5-yard line so far. Pacheco, he hasn't even had a carry inside the 15-yard line yet this season. So I think the Chiefs are just going to lean a little bit more on the run on this one. And, especially after watching the Lions just carve up the Ravens on the ground last week. So Kareem Hunt, he's around plus 210. I like it anywhere over plus 200 for him.
Yeah, 2 things on that game. Number one, been screaming all offseason about this Pacheco red zone situation. Like, this guy, you cannot trust him in fantasy, and if he scores, it's gonna have to be from outside the red zone most likely, and he's just not hitting those kind of runs. Number 2, I will say kind of a long shot pick. I got refunded because he didn't actually play a snap last week, but Jalen Royals, if he suits up and is active, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Clyde Edwards-Helaire all scored in their first games, as rookies with the Chiefs. So technically this would still be Royals' first game because he hasn't played a snap yet. So that's another guy, long shot. But we don't know what his role is going to be, if he's still hurt or whatever. But just thought I'd mention that one.
No, I love that angle, man. I appreciate you telling me that.
I'm going to be on that one again this week. And hopefully he doesn't have a special teams role. So if he doesn't play, you just get your money back. So not a bad bet there. Bears at the Las Vegas Raiders. On the Raiders side, I'm going to go with Ashton Genty at minus 140. Just everything that's been going on with the Raiders kind of screams Genty is going to get in the end zone. A couple weeks ago, they were just throwing downfield a little too much for Pete Carroll's liking. And, and he said he wanted to get Genty more snaps. Then this week, they just fall behind, and they end up throwing 3 more long touchdowns to Trey Tucker. So, shouts to our guy Nick Giffen, who loves Trey Tucker. But if they don't throw these longer touchdowns, and it's, kind of having to drive up and down the field a little more, which you can do against the Bears, I think Genty is a pretty good bet to get in the end zone in this spot. And I think they'll start increasing his pass game snaps a little bit too. I think that's what Carroll was kind of alluding to. We saw that a little bit, but they've been falling behind so much that we've been seeing the backups more than we'd probably like for the Raiders. So like them at home in this spot to rebound. And for the Bears, it's a little tricky because it looks like Loveland is still not practicing. So I'm going to go with Luther Burden here at plus 550. He was the guy that got the flea flicker. So pretty kind of fluky touchdown, all things considered. But we do know that Ben Johnson trying to get Burden more involved. And I think, this Bears team, one of the teams that they will play a lot of 1-1, 3 wide receiver personnel, even at the goal line. So Burden, now that his snaps are on the rise, he can get in there over Zacchaeus when they're in close. And he's one of those guys that you can just scheme up kind of like an Andy Reid type touchdown for those gadget guys. Used to do it like Kadarius Toney and all those guys. So I think Burden, still being priced like a true backup. But I think he's actually going to get, just as many snaps as a lot of these other Bears players in close, especially because they're starting to swap out Swift a little bit more in the red zone as well. So it's really kind of a mixed, it could go any which way. So I think you want to get on Burden now, and he could also get a deep target as well. And we saw the Commanders give up a bunch of long touchdowns we saw the Raiders give up a bunch of long touchdowns to the Commanders last week. All right, before we continue, don't forget, sign up for Action Pro. You can get real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Koerner, Gilles Gallant, myself, the entire Action Network squad. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Koerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and to get $20 off the annual price. All you got to do is enter promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off 1 year of Action Pro. All right, we got 2 Sunday night games. No, we got Sunday night. We got 2 Monday night games. We've been having fun with the Parlay Express account in the free award-winning Action Network app. So, guys, let's make a quick parlay of our top 3 favorites, anytime touchdown picks of the day for the Sunday afternoon slate. I'll go with Genty for me because I think he's got to get in the end zone sooner than later. Who you going with, Sean?
I'll go with McCaffrey 2+ touchdowns at +320.
All right, and then Joe.
I'm going to cheat. It's not going to be a pick I gave out on the show, but I'm going to take Devontae Adams just for 1 touchdown, though, at +125.
All right, so if you parlay Genty 1 touchdown, McCaffrey 2 touchdowns, and Adams 1 touchdown, it's about +1,500 or 15-1 for the parlay odds. So yeah, Genty, McCaffrey, Adams for our favorite Sunday afternoon parlay. Again, check the Action Network's Parlay Express account on the Action app for more parlays. We'll get into Sunday night football. Packers at the Cowboys. I'm going to start it off. I'll go with Matthew Golden here, the rookie at +230. And if we look at this Cowboys defense, they are playing a lot of zone, and they're not blitzing much. So you would think that they would be more susceptible to kind of underneath stuff. But we've seen guys like Wan'Dale Robinson just run straight through their defense. Luther Burden run straight through their defense. Jahan Dotson ran straight through their defense. Came up a little bit short of a score, but caught a long bomb as well. So I think this is a good spot for Golden, who's just playing more and more snaps as these Packers receivers keep getting hurt. And he was in on most of the red zone stuff. He's only Packer to get multiple red zone routes, 1 of 3, along with Jacobs and Kraft last week. So they're kind of they're giving Golden the work down in there in close, just along with the rest of these guys, not just a deep threat. So like him, Koerner, who are you looking at for Packers Cowboys?
I'm going to go with Jalen Tolbert at 4-1 here. He's going to have to step up along with Kevontae Turpin in CeeDee Lamb's absence this week. And I think, Tolbert's always been a solid red zone option. He had 7 touchdowns last year, and he had 2 end zone targets last week after CD went down. Dak threw that interception that was intended to Tolbert. And then later in the game, Joe Milton and his strong arm threw it way over his head in the end zone. So eventually, he's going to catch one in the end zone. But now with Dak out, that's the time to take him. Jill, I know that you hit it in game. Once CD went down, I thought that was sharp, taking Tolbert in game there. But same logic here. I think Tolbert with CD out is offering some value here at 4-1.
Yeah, and I think too, when I was looking at it, it was probably more closer to like the 7-1 range. But even then, like just that was part of the reasoning is that when Lamb goes down or games that Lamb did miss, that's who's usually stepped up, right? So, I love that at 4-1 or better. I'm just going to go with Tucker Kraft in this spot. I think his injury was maybe a little more exaggerated, but also playing against that Browns defense, they don't allow pretty much anything. So, I mean, what was funny about that game is I knew a lot of people were on Tucker Kraft, and then we talked about who was going to be the tight end 3 that scores. And, of course, it's Fitzpatrick or Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
We talked Big F, Big P.
7'2", 280-pound tank.
Yeah,
right.
So
we
it was
even
just
talked
amazing. That being said, I think we're going to get back to reality here and take Tucker Kraft. I think Tucker Kraft will be the one to score for this Packers defense. And again, just if you only used the first 2 games of sample size, you would have thought that this would be like +150. So,
yeah, and it looks like that touchdown catch took a lot out of Fitzpatrick because he's been limited with a groin injury this week in practice. All right, parlay Matthew Golden. Jalen Tolbert and Tucker Kraft, anytime touchdowns, you get around 50-1 odds there. So that's fun. Let's go to Monday night. We got the Jets going to Miami to face the Dolphins. And I'm going to roll with Devon Achane in this spot against the Jets. I think he's still the guy that, the fact that he's involved in the passing game to the extent he is, he's kind of game script proof a little bit. And I know Ollie Gordon got a goal line look. So, like Achane, because I think, his odds should be even higher, but, with Gordon getting that goal line look, the Dolphins aren't going to get a ton of goal line touchdowns most weeks with the way they play. And I think especially against the Jets, it's going to be more, through the air or longer out. So give me Achane, who can do both in this spot. Koerner, what do you like?
I'm going to go with the rookie Arian Smith here at 15-1. I was surprised to see his price this high because, he was their 4th round pick, and they're going to look to get him involved sooner than later. And last week, they did. He was operating as the number 2 wide receiver with Josh Reynolds out, ran around 83% of Tyrod's dropbacks. So, there's a ton of upside if he's getting that much playing time. He could also get, rush attempt. They like to get him schemed up, that way as well. So he has way too much upside to be priced this high. And, Josh Reynolds he's easing back in. He might play, he might sit out. But I think either way, Arian Smith at 15-1 is offering value.
Yeah, I like him. I was looking at that. I saw his routes really ticked up. So I wouldn't be surprised if that continues. I mean, you don't need to play Josh Reynolds and Tyler Johnson to know who they and Lazard.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
Oh my
all
God,
those guys
Lazard.
should be cut by week 6, and it's week 4. So we got a couple of weeks left. All right, we going with Joe.
I'm just going to go with Garrett Wilson, man. Like, Garrett Wilson to me, I think is nice and easy. We don't have to. I know. Well, not a total boo. That was actually, Garrett Wilson was the final leg to hit in our 66-1 touchdown show parlay. So Garrett Wilson, I think, is the guy that we want to go back to here, especially because I was a bit worried with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback of whether or not he was going to see, or just not even targets, but quality targets. Is he going to be hit in stride kind of thing? And it worked out, and the Jets almost came back and almost won that game, right? So I like Garrett Wilson to round that out, and I think that should be a way that we can keep it nice and even. And if Arian Smith hits, then we're pretty happy, right?
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I mean, and the thing about Devon Achane is you do not have to worry at all about a potential quarterback sneak vulture. That's one of the reasons why I love Achane in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's Gordon. I would say is the bigger threat. But Tua he would get hurt before he even tried to sneak or anything. But this one's 78-1, thanks to the Arian Smith 15-1 in there. So another fun one. We'll close it out with the second Monday night game, Bengals at the Broncos. And on this one, I want to go with T. Higgins for the Bengals. Sean, I think we talked about on the flex. I think he's just going to be a little bit undervalued in the market, coming off the bad game, and the backup quarterback had a bad game, but this is still one of the better backup quarterbacks in terms of getting the ball out to the receivers. And this could be a spot where Jamar Chase gets extra attention, or you have to look away from him because of Surtain and the coverage on the other side. So I think T. Higgins could be a trailing game script, could just be a Surtain issue, but either way, I think he's a good bet to score here. So I like him at plus 190. Koerner, where are you going?
With Noah Fant looking shaky, I was looking for Tanner Hudson. Odds don't see any. So, damn it, can't go with him here, but definitely
Cam Grandy. It's Cam Grandy. He's the replacement.
Well, that's the thing. Just take the wheel, one of the 7 tight ends and just throw a dart at it. If Fant's out, someone else is going to score. But I'm going to go with the Broncos here with Troy Franklin at plus 245. Continues to operate as, top 2 receiver in this offense, had a 94% routes run rate last week. Put up a dud, though, only 2 catches for 8 yards. But he could have had a better game. Bo Nix missed him on a wide open, 15-yard look, and then gave him a hospital ball near the goal line where not one, but 2 guys crushed Franklin. It's kind of weird for them to be out of sync like that. They played all the way back in college, so they have good chemistry. So I think it's a good buy low spot for Franklin, who had a really good week 2. He's leading the team in targets, I think. So good buy low spot for Franklin here at plus 245.
I think Sean Payton's the one out of sync. Some of the plays he's drawing up, and just everything's just kind of just a little bit of a mess in Denver right now. But I think they kind of get back to it. Joe, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Marvin Mims. He's always my guy that I go to in the Broncos offense. I kind of thought about whether or not I was looking at Bo Nix in this spot, and I was like, nah, I'm just going to go with Mims because honestly, last week in that matchup, in week 3, he wasn't really needed to be used much, but also they were kind of going away from it a little bit. So I think Mims, especially given the fact that the Bengals, their secondary has been having a little bit of trouble. They're not great against the deep ball. I think Mims could catch them off guard. Plus, he's the punt returner as well. So, there could be a chance as well that he returns it there. So, and I think just the odds too. Anything over 3-1 from Mims, that's kind of where I'm at. And coming into the season, I was very high on him. So I'm going to continue riding with him here after he scored in week 2.
Yeah, Denver is one of those teams, Koerner and I have talked about this before the season. They're going to be frustrating to project all year because they're one of those teams that just purposely tries to break tendency like every week. So the fact that you had Sutton and I think it was Dobbins score last week, like the two kind of top most predictable guys, I think now's a good time to go with, Franklin and Mims, like some of the ancillary pieces that are still out there on the field a ton because that's generally how it goes in Denver, which makes it frustrating, but it can be very profitable. But Higgins, Franklin, Mims, anytime touchdown, parlay those three together, and you get 39-1. All right, fellas, good stuff. That is going to do it. As I mentioned, we'll add these anytime touchdown parlays to the Parlay Express account in the Action app. So go follow Parlay Express if you have not already and have some fun with us on these longer shots. And while you're looking at Parlay Express in the Action app, sign up for Action Pro. It's the only way for you to get the best bets at the best prices with immediate notifications when action experts post their picks. You can get $20 off right now by using promo code POD20 when you sign up for a year of Action Pro. That's POD20. All right. That's going to do it for our NFL Week 4 touchdown show here on the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. Thank you to Sean Koerner and Gilles Gallant for joining me again. Check the Parlay Express account. Check the link in the podcast or video description if you want quick slips or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now if you want to bet those. Or if you're on Twitter, actually have a great new feature. If you see a bet from any of us, not even just in this podcast, but anywhere on Twitter, you can screenshot it and tag @Playbook, and our AI bot will build a bet slip for you at the sportsbook of your choice. So check that out, Playbook, on Twitter and X. Be sure to subscribe to the Action Network podcast. You can find Sean on X at @the_oddsmaker, Jill at GDog5000. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. So next time, let's get this money.